Welcome to Books, Beauty, and Business. Our goal is to inspire, motivate, and encourage others through laughter, accountability, success stories, but most importantly, easy steps for achieving greatness. My name is Tawny Bro, and today I'd like to introduce you to Andrea Alexander. She is an expert anxiety coach. If you've ever had any type of anxiety in your life, you are going to love this. Anyways, first, a quick shout out to our sponsor. Thanks, Success Headway, Advertising and Digital Marketing. They have created a digital marketing checklist you can get free off their website, tips for higher traffic and online presence. So get yours today at successheadway.com. So a quick introduction to Andrea Alexander. She is the co-owner of Embody Coaching. She is an expert anxiety coach. So what she does is she supports her clients to really connect to their heart's desire and own their pleasure, power, and purpose in life. Let's jump
First of all, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. So just before we get started, tell our audience a little bit just about your story and how you got to Embody Coaches today.
So my story began way back. And so in a quickly, what I spent the majority of my life trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And when I was in my early 20s, I had a memory that came through that was in total darkness, that it's not something's wrong with me, something happened to me. And so I spent the next 25, 30 years trying to figure out what happened to me. My body felt it, but my head didn't know it. It wasn't there. And so finally I found myself aligned with a therapist who supported me in remembering. And so when I was 48 years old, I remembered I had sexual trauma at age 5.
Oh, wow.
And I had believed that if I knew what it was, I could fix it. Well, what happened was after that is everything that I had been suppressing as far as feeling all of a sudden came in. And so for the next 2 years, I experienced 10 to 15 panic attacks a day.
A day?
And a day.
Wow.
I couldn't leave my house. I literally lived on the corner of my sofa and worked from there. And so I've started to come out of that, and I was like, there's got to be more. I felt better, but not great. I'd have a good day here and a good day there. And so I found myself in this class called Sacred Body Language Translation. And the woman asked me, when they were talking about consciousness, the pain and dis-ease are the language of our body, our words create our reality. And I was like, I don't understand. But I just knew that there was something in that for me. And then she asked for a volunteer for a translation. And I raised my hand and she said, what hurts? I said, my thumb. She said, repeat after me. She said, say, I willingly let go. And I was like, I willingly let go. And she said, she had me keep repeating it. And she added some other things in there. And what I was aware of is that I felt all this emotion and feeling come up. And then I could barely speak. And then I felt this resurgent of power come through me. And all of a sudden, the pain in my hand completely dissipated. And I felt this power return. And in that instant, I knew there was something there for me. So over time, what I have done is I have learned how to translate every single signal in the body and been playing in consciousness now for 6 years, doing my own inner work. And because I felt so compelled by what I experienced, is my choices to share what God gifted me with, which is to speak to women who have yet to be able to remember.
Wow. Okay, so first of all, that's amazing transition story. And the fact that you're able to pinpoint that, because a couple things while you were saying that come up, and it's an amazing work for you to be able to help other people, because how many people probably go through life not addressing like something like that's just holding them back from being like the best version of themselves, right? And then like the second is the practice of kind of fine-tuning. It's it's not like a car in a shop. It's almost like rewiring and fine-tuning your how you are helping people like reprogram how they think about themselves, how they respond to things. Like, what an amazing thing to go through. I mean, I think
Well,
I said that wrong.
no, actually, you're spot on, Tawny, because here's the deal is trauma is trauma.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter if you've had a car accident or you've had sexual trauma. Your body doesn't know the difference. All it knows is that whatever that was super frightening.
Mhm.
And so you said rewiring. And
Mhm.
that's what I do is I teach people how to feel differently about what they feel.
Mhm.
Because what I got was now once I learned that the trauma that I experienced put me on mission and purpose in life. And so I get to be a speaker for other women who've yet to remember, who
Mhm.
don't know, who yet to speak up. That gives me and it's the same when we know we have healed whatever it was and let go of what that was, when we can say I would do it again because what I got from it. It's a very similar experience to childbirth. It sucks when you're in it. It's painful, but what comes through us and what is born literally is something completely glorious. And so you are spot on. It's where we would do it again. And we can't change the past, but we can change we can't change it. We
Mhm.
can continue to give it our power, or we can do something completely different and use what happened in order to support us and support others.
Mhm. It's kind of like what makes you strong allows you to help other people not be alone in it and make them strong.
Yes, because I've been through it. I know what it takes.
Mhm.
And do I still have remnants? And it's the onion of we're always evolving. And so I can take people as far as I've gone, and I'm way down the road for most people. And it doesn't, like I said, if it's car accidents, death, if it's divorce, trauma is trauma in the body. And because people go, well, mine's not that big of a deal.
Mhm.
And what I liken it to is that if you ever had a roach jump on you in the middle of the night, and it's this bolt right sit up, oh my God, terror, something's on me.
Mhm.
Your body, that body knows terror. Somebody walks through the front door with a gun, body knows terror. That's it. It doesn't get all this other stuff. And so if the worst thing that's ever happened is a roach and something else, it's still in your body, and our brain says, I can't do this, this is too much for me. And so what it does is it takes all of that information and it puts it somewhere in your body. So I had things like fibroids, I had endometriosis, I had other cysts, I had not fibromyalgia, but I had lots of eczema. I had a cyst on my head. And so all of this stuff was showing up in my body. And
Mhm.
all the female stuff is where women have had sexual trauma, because it's where we create. And it's where that stuff just gets, all that dark energy was stored. And so
Mm.
we get to move it in different ways.
So when you're working with women through this process, um, it's almost like everything else. It's almost too big to like, where do you start? Like, where's step one?
And so there's two tools that I use religiously, and one is language, which our language is the code to our subconscious mind, and our body can only tell the truth. And so I'll get on a call and I'll say, what's going on today? Well, it was really rough. And then there'll be some story. And so the first three words that somebody says to me typically are, what's acting? What is rough? Is rough familiar? Yes. Do you have a memory? What's the first time you remember rough? And so we go into that, and that's where we begin to touch the root causes. And the subconscious is going to let us go in stages.
Oh, wow.
And some people will go really quickly and some will go slower. And so then once I ask a question, the body will do something, and she'll lean back, and I'm like, oh, was that really hard for you? Where are you backing out of? And so every single action, reaction, the head here, oh, so there, or you've got something new coming in, a new way of thinking. Fight or flight is back here. Our hands are handling, our feet are understanding. And it's so whatever, it's all translatable. And so that's what I use to ask questions that support my clients in finding the root. And then what we do is I help them collapse the belief around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I use decrees, which are similar to affirmations or mantras, but they are rooted in there. A lot of them are rooted or in biblical text, because it's scripture,
Mm-hmm.
which actually closely resembles universal or quantum laws.
Mm-hmm.
And we're finding now is so much more of science is proving religion and God, which is amazing to me. So, for example, our greatest weakness shall be our greatest strength. It's what happened to you. It's what we're here to raise. And the power of life and death is in the tongue. And so things that we've been saying are holding us in place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hear those things, translate those, see the patterns, and then use decrees that are based in what's happening with them to reset the mind.
Wow.
It's phenomenal. My life is
phenomenal.
So different. When I've been seeing somebody, when I tell him some of the things about me in the past, he's like, I can't imagine that you were like that. I can't imagine that you were like that. And when I came into this system, I was a chocolate mess. I was a chocolate mess. I had drugs, alcohol, sex, all kinds of things, trying to find ways to feel, because I can't feel. I don't like how I feel, and anything to feel differently, to like how I felt. And so I did. I mean, you wouldn't have guessed it, but I did. I had a cocaine problem and all kinds of things. And I just put those things down. They just got easy. I just kept putting things down. I used to laugh saying I was born with a cigarette and a martini, and I don't smoke anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
so all of that stuff just naturally falls away when we are willing to do the work, and it's just easy.
That is a beautiful story, but it's also such a interesting gift, because to ask the questions that would open someone up, that then you're watching their body language for like input for your own, like, what you're looking at, what you're listening for. And I love how you put the scripture into the type of affirmations, because those are the most powerful words, right? And then when you were talking about body language, I was just thinking about like those profilers that, when someone lies, they say they always look up to the left, I think, or there's tells, right, that people do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really interesting when you put that together with a type of therapy, because you said your body only knows the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That is wild.
And it's people go, oh, body language, like what they do for court, or what, people, how they cross their arms. Yes, this is telling that people are closed off.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do gets down even into what is diabetes. Diabetes is a loss of sweetness of life. And what happened where you let go, or someone took from you your sweetness of life. I've worked with clients who have what's the stuff that Michael J. Fox has, the shaking, Parkinson's.
Yes.
And so I was working with her brother, who's older, and he was talking to me about his sister. And I said, oh, has she lost the sweetness of life? And he said, we just found out that when she was 16, she was raped. And she's 60 at this stage. And so I did some calls with her, and we did some work together, and I shared decrees for her while she let so much of that stuff go within 2 calls. And just the difference in the way that her body moves, just because of what she remembered and that she could let it go, gave her back sweetness of life. And some people, we can do things in an instant. God does work instantly when we are willing to let go to that level. And some things may take a while, but
Well,
it's possible.
Why do you think it takes some people so long?
Belief.
Belief, though, of what?
So what we believe is what we create. And so, if, for example, if you were raised here in Houston, Texas, and your parents said, Tawny, we live in Germany, we speak German, and the sky is green. On your first day of kindergarten, you would say, my name is Tawny Bro. I speak German. I'm from Germany, and the sky is green. And the kids would look at you like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
But it's what you're taught, and it's what you believe. It is truth for you. And so we have been taught all these different things, that diabetes is generational, that this is the only way through. We've got to do this. You do this. And so when we take on what somebody says is true, if a doctor tells you you're going to be dealing with this for the rest of your life and you believe them, you will be dealing with it for the rest of your life. And we're aware that people come in and the doctor says, and they're like, no. God's going to take care of this for me. And there's a belief in something bigger. And it may not be God. It may be universe. It may be Mother Earth. It may be the grass. It doesn't matter. It's a belief in something greater. And so what we believe, we create. And we may desire, I believe I can be a millionaire. Yes, we can say that over and over and over and over again. But there's something in us that has yet to touch and really own that we can be a millionaire. So it's going to keep us separate from it. And so what I do is we go in and we find what's keeping you separate from that belief. And so, because the word believe is to be alive in. And so if you're being alive in sickness and you're choosing to be alive in something else, you may have yet to cross over. And there's baby steps. I give myself permission to believe that I can. Willingly remember that I can. Only God touches me. And so we play in that, the way that works. And so I've got clients that are like, can't not changing that. I don't believe in that. And we don't go very far.
There is, so I love the work that you're doing. I mean, I feel like this inner work should almost be something that is taught from generation to generation. I feel like mothers should be teaching their daughters how to do this, or fathers should be teaching their sons, or someone should be teaching us along the way, so we don't have to go 30 years of our life until we seek out guidance from you or someone in your position, or a therapist. Everyone's in therapy, which I agree. We all need therapy. If you don't have a therapist, you should go get one today. But what if we could teach, and I don't even know what these skills would be. There's such gifts that you have, but to teach these skills to adolescents and to children and to growing up and, listening to your body. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes. Everyone requires something, and we take care of our physical body. We go to the gym. We have fitness coaches. We have diet coaches. But we don't have inner life coaches.
Yes.
And everything begins on the inside. And what I say is it's all an inside job. When I make changes in my life, the people around me begin to shift also, because we are all energy. You and I are connected. Even though we're sitting in different parts of the city and we're having this conversation, you and I have energy moving through each other right now. And so when you start adding DNA, genetics to that, anything that I do in me, it affects my sister, affects my mother, affects my father, even 4 generations back, whether they're living or not, and 4 generations forward. This is scientifically proven. And so when we do the work ourselves, the children get it. And having a coach and learning to do these things, period, it's part of our health. And it's all it's a remembering of our innocence, our purity, our value, that we are worthy of love and how to love ourselves. Because that's really what I do, is I help people let go of what they believed that made them feel less than, whether it was their parents or an experience, so that we can walk ourselves back into reclaiming love, reclaiming power, because we are worthy. And I'm going to tell you what, mine started with brushing my teeth an extra time a day. That's how it started.
It's those little things. And I get what you're saying about generational, because they talk about generational blessings and they talk about generational curses, right? And and I definitely feel like at any point you can switch that to what benefits you. I don't know, I just feel like, and maybe that's just the journey, right? Maybe that is, everybody has their own journey, whether it's in my time, their time, God's time. But I just feel like I just want everyone to have this piece about their past, or their piece about, like, as more of an innate, and maybe that's God within, I don't know, but more of an innate or a skill almost. You know what I mean?
One of the things that I say is, our parents put it on the altar because they yet to be able to do it for us to pick up so that we can do something different. And my mother taught me that life was hard. My mother and her mother taught her that life was hard, and her mother taught her that life was hard. We've had this belief that life is hard. Innate blueprint. God said life is meant to be easy. It's a belief. And so if it, somewhere along the line, when we pick that up and we shift it and move it and change the belief, we benefit the generations forward, and we can teach the generations behind us through ourselves, because energy never dies. It may leave what we know it in this time frame. It only transforms. And so I've had the experience of feeling my ancestors, even though they have moved on, in completely new and different ways.
That is beautiful. I love it. I love the work that you're doing and the healing.
Thank you.
So let's get into the Books, Beauty, and Busy questions, because we do want to know. I think we kind of covered how you found your love for healing and how you found your love for what you're doing today. But in a role like this, where we are lifting people up and out of, what they're experiencing, how do you find your own inspiration and motivation?
I read, I listen, I read. I have a book club, which you have joined me on some of the books. And so we read different things that in consciousness. And I listen to podcasts. I'm really enjoying Russell Kennedy, who is Anxiety RX. I enjoy Mel Robbins. I enjoy Jay Shetty. I enjoy Joe Dispenza. And so I find inspiration from them. And I learned stuff from them that applies to me, that then I can play that into what I do, and deeper understanding of self and how I support my clients. Because I'm like, because everything I do in me is for them. Because that takes me further, which takes them further, which gets in. So that's primarily what I like and what I do and how I inspire myself. And then moving my body is always extra oxygen, always brings things in for me too.
Yes, I love that. I do love the learning side of it. And I'm doing a challenge for myself. And I know some of my listeners might be doing this as well. I felt like I was doing more watching than reading. And I like to be the opposite. So I challenge myself and sit in the evening to read instead of watch. And I can already tell it's been maybe a week since I started this new challenge for myself, that I'm thinking differently. You know what I mean? I'm just resonating with the things that I have been reading in a way that it just feels good. So I love that you're shared your podcast. And if you haven't heard of those podcasts, guys, go check them out. They're all amazing. So being a coach, how are you marketing your business?
Um, through trial and error. And
Start there, yes.
yes, and so this is it's still my business partner and I've been in business for about 2 years. We're coming up on 2 years right now. And we do stuff on mostly on social media. We have our own book we're about to debut, and we've got someone, Natalie Cole is working with us to create that piece. And so we've done social media, we've done Instagram, we've tried a lot of different things.
Excellent.
And what is working best for me is networking.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm also we've shifted into is we're doing some of our own social media, and we're also doing our own newsletters, which requires a lot more vigilance. And it's I will say that am I on spot for being with regularity? No, but the voice is so, because the authentic self is coming through. What we're finding is the traction, and I'm aware that people post every single day, and oh my God, it's a bombardment. And so I imagine a few little things here and there that are authentic and with a clear voice are well appreciated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great way to get your message out. And what do you have a book you like to recommend? If somebody were to say, Andrea, tell me a good book to read, what would you say?
Oh, goodness. I'm looking at my shelf. And so one of I've got like several going right now. For what I believe is a fairly easy read, short read that speaks into consciousness, that addresses the words and how body easily to get started, is Florence Scovel Shinn, The Game of Life.
Yes.
It's a short read and it's powerful and impactful. And she speaks into how our words create our reality. And I love that she gives little snippets of things that she's done and how people have experienced miracles through the small things that she just said to them.
Mm-hmm. That's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that one. And that link will be also on the page if you guys want to check that out, The Game of Life. And okay, so what is your favorite beauty tip?
Red lipstick.
Dad.
Sunglasses and red lipstick always work.
There you go. That is awesome.
That's the red is my signature.
I love that. Red lipstick and sunglasses.
Yes.
Try that one. Okay, so do you have any daily tips for success? Things that you make sure you try to get done every day?
So, yes, and it's all about me. And so what I do, I have what I call agreements and or commitments to myself. And one of them is I do some kind of breath work daily, and I use a website called Breathwork Beats. And what I love about breath is it brings us into the body where it keeps us in the body. And this particular breath types are support the vagus nerve, which supports us in fight or flight. And when you've had trauma in the past, it supports us in staying in our bodies because we're always leaving. And so I do that, and it's a guided practice, and I really enjoy it. I love my ritual of coffee. I love my morning, my coffee ritual with my cats, and then I journal. And I use my own journals that I've created for my own classes because they are easy and they're really amazing. And so I do that, and because I love the first piece of healing and moving forward and shifting and changing and transforming is awareness. Awareness is a miracle because it's where we begin to see something new and different, and then we get to choose what we're going to do with that. So those are things that I do for myself daily. And it sounds kind of funny, but it's how I began to walk myself back into loving me, which was taking off my makeup at night and brushing my teeth. because the girl who grew up with sexual trauma, guilt, and shame had yet to really care for herself physically, and being, whether it was really truly dirty, the thought of dirt. So those are two things that I do for myself every night. And then I also am committed to doing something consciously as I take myself into sleep. And I will often either listen to binaural beats music or do some type of sleep hypnosis. I have my own decrees that I record, and I will listen to them as I go into sleep, or something else that's along those lines. Because as we drift into sleep, it's where our conscious mind, our subconscious mind is at its peak of operation. And what we take into sleep is what we create.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're worrying as we go into sleep, we're going to create more worry. And so I take things that feed me into sleep.
Yes. Relax. Relax.
It's
I love that.
and it's supportive.
Mm-hmm.
To let go, and we allow our imagination begins to work, and we can think about, we can play in and imagine our day in a completely different way, because we are imagining at 90 to nothing all day long, and we're imagining crudola is going to happen, and guess what, we get crudola, and we can imagine a magnificent, and magnificent will begin to occur.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Those are great daily tips for success. So, while we are wrapping up, do you have any additional motivation or advice for the ladies listening?
So my favorite decree that it is for me is me, love me. And this is something I say to myself with regularity, and I place my hand over my chest, and I say it slowly because I can feel the vibration of the words in my body. And remembering that we are worthy of our own love is where we begin to actually let love in. We get to create healthy thoughts, healthy boundaries, healthy activities. It took me a while to get there. I remember the first time somebody gave me that decree, I was like, what? No way. And because I have walked myself into it, is where I began to gave myself permission to transform my body, and transform my life. And because I've remembered how amazing I am. And so it's in you too. And it's where we get the heart and the head come together. Because we know we believe that we deserve, but we've yet to be able to give it to ourselves. It's because we have unconscious tapes running that are keeping us in this misery.
Mm-hmm. I love that advice. It's just so powerful. And so it's a little emotional even. You're like, oh, I just felt that.
Exactly. It's because we're connected energetically.
Yes.
And it's a group movement. And when one woman raises herself, we raise others with us.
I love that. And in this time, I feel like we need to be raising each other up.
Yes, sure. Because there is too much misogyny. Yes. And misogyny is women against women, not men against women.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Coming on. All of Andrea's information will be below, her website, how to contact her. If you guys are interested in speaking with her and learning more about what she does, please reach out. You can check her out on her social media sites as well. And we just thank you so much. So thank you so much for coming. Until next time, guys. Absolutely. Bye-bye.